Hello and welcome to my image processing presentation. For this video, I will basically be discussing the ImageJ software and using this video to spread some awareness and also show you some useful features that happen to be in this application. Now, I had a great time using this application, and as you can see right now, I'm just going to the image tab and going to the zoom feature. And I'm hitting 100% because I really want to focus on those pixels, and I want to show you that the actual image we're looking at is red blood cells. Now we see that it is a RGB image. We actually have 8.7 megabytes, which is the memory, and that is the full zoomed in image of the blood cell. Now what I'm going to do is actually zoom out to the full scale of the image so we can actually see the full image again to the original scale. And one thing that I really realize about this ImageJ processing application is that you can actually take length measurements, which is actually pretty cool. So for example, we are looking at blood cells and I want to see the distance from one blood cell to another. So by using that line tool that you see in my cursor, I'm going to simply drag and drop a line from one blood cell to another. And that's going to enable me to actually measure it once I hit analyze and click measure. So right there we have our first measurement. Now this is awesome because it shows you the length, the angle, the min, the max, and everything else. Now this is pretty cool because I'm going to take a few more measurements, and now all you have to do is hit the control button plus the letter M on the keyboard, and this will go ahead and get those measurements in there much more faster. So right now I'm just going ahead and looking through the blood cells that I want to measure, and I'm measuring the distance from each blood cell. So I just want to reiterate that this is the process of me taking measurements by using length measurement. And this is a really cool process and a really cool application feature that is in the ImageJ application. Now, one thing that I also want to discuss is there are many different things on this application that you can use, such as filters, such as 2D or 3D images, and even changing the image type to 8-bit, 16-bit, or RGB, or even grayscale it. So this is a pretty cool thing, and you're going to see that we're about to get into more things after I'm done taking these measurements here. But I just wanted to give you guys a thorough understanding of the measurements that we could take. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of the measurement tab, and now we're going to get into the other things that I have planned. So right now what I want to specifically dive into is the image and how we're going to go to the threshold. Now the threshold is cool because you can pretty much change it to a red threshold or green threshold, but before we do that we're going to have to change the type of image. So we're going to go back to image, go to type, and we're going to change it to 8-bit. Now this will enable us to actually be able to click auto threshold, because if it is in the RGB type it will not work. So that is a little disclaimer. So now we should be able to change the threshold, seeing that we adjusted the image type. So we're going to go into adjust and we're going to go to the threshold, and you'll see how it changes. Now my settings were a little bit messed up. I was going for a little bit more of a red threshold, but we happen to have the green and blue on this one. And if there was a specific reason why anybody would want to use this in a clinical setting or just in an educational setting, this can really help make things stand out and compare and contrast when using the threshold setting. So it's actually really cool. And then there I was able to find how to change the color, which is actually pretty awesome. And then now what we're going to do is I'm going to go back and adjust it one more time and try something different just to show. Right now this was the auto threshold, and this shows it basically in different stages of the threshold, which is pretty awesome. I wanted to show this because this is a great feature, especially if you wanted to see it in different stages. Now we're going to actually get into some more fun things of this program slash application. The specific thing that we're going to get into on this part of the video will be the filters. Now right here I'm going to duplicate the image, that way we can get the image regularly again, and I'm going to actually apply some different filters here. So to apply a different filter, it's not particularly too hard. You just have to go through the tabs and find your way, and the way to do it is hit process, which is the tab that I'm currently clicking on, and you're going to scroll all the way down to filters, and you'll put your cursor at filters. And on the filters, now there's many different types in here, but on the specific filters that I'm going to use is the blur one. You'll see me use here in a second, but there's so many different types, and it just depends on what you're looking for and what your research is. Now for me, I wanted to blur it to see the compare and just contrast from the regular picture and then what it would look like blurred. So right now I'm messing around with the settings. I changed it back to the RGB color. Now that doesn't really matter, but I just wanted to do that for the sake of this video. So right here, what I wanted to show is you can actually click the preview button when clicking on the filter, and then you can actually change the radius of it, and it actually becomes more stronger. So as I change the input from 2 to 6, you can see and compare and contrast to the picture on our left how blurry that one is. So now we'll put it at 3.0, and you're going to see that it's not as blurry, but it still is blurry when you compare it to the one on the left. So this is a cool feature to use if you have to use it for any purposes of blurring, or you're trying to differentiate a photo from another. This is a pretty cool feature. Right here I put it at 10, and you can see how just immense that blur is, and it is really intense. We're definitely not going to be leaving that on there, so we're going to go ahead and cancel that. But there's so many other filters that you can actually click on here, and the next one we'll click is median. We'll change it again, the radius, and you're going to see how the picture changes when you do so. Now this one wasn't a big difference compared to like the blur, but it is still pretty noticeable, especially when I put it at 20. But this is really unique and an awesome feature to be aware of, because you can see how you can tweak the picture to your liking or to your standards or to anything you need to use it for. So I'm going to go ahead and run it one more time with just a different filter, and I want to talk about the 3D filter. So you can actually process images and make them 3D or 2D, just really depending on the filters that you use. Right here I'm using 3D, which will give it a little bit of a 3D effect. Now if you look at the blood cells, they are kind of like popping out at your face. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stick around for more.